Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Welcome to Where Energy Meets the Divine. I'm Manuchehri. Before I go to the phone lines, I'll just remind you what today is. It is August 4th, 2024. I'm recording this in the afternoon in the Pacific Northwest. So, USA. Before we go to those phone lines, I always love to talk about something that I hope will be beneficial, helpful, tips, ideas. Awareness is consciousness, truth. And today I want to talk more about detachment. Psychics, professionals who have successful businesses or are just really good at their work and working on becoming more successful with their businesses, we know that we need to detach. It's critical for us to detach from our emotions, from the heart chakra, if you will, in order to read things accurately. So if you're trying to read for yourself, and we know this is true in terms of reading for ourselves as well, if you're having some problems, it's most likely because you can't detach. So here's what problems will look like. You might get sleepy after you ask a question. You might feel highly distracted, walk away, forget about the question. You might be somewhat aggressive and trying to get an answer. Is that an answer? What does that butterfly mean? Maybe it was the tree swaying. There's this desperation, which is also a sign that you are not detached. If you're going to ask questions about anything for your life, which you have every right to do, and you have every right to get any intuitive information, and there's tons of solutions and intuitive information out in the universe, you deserve it, it's yours, but you have to emotionally detach. Now, you might be able to discern in your own life the things that you are already detached from, that you don't feel an emotional connection with. Because if you have that awareness already in your life, and you can kind of tell because certain areas of your life you get intuitive awarenesses or hunches, or you just follow the energy flow with, great zest and great outcomes, wonderful solutions. It's not problematic. It's really easy. That will be a sign that, oh, I know how to detach from this. And the other things where you feel like you're not getting an answer, or the universe isn't listening to you, which is never true. They always listen. Or your spirit guides have gone on a permanent vacation, which is also not true. They have to. One has to be around you all the time, but your guide group is very close and very connected and adoring you all the time. If you're feeling those things, it's because you are detached. So you can't get any information, or very little. Not enough to appease you, not enough to make you feel confident that you are feeling, hearing, seeing, experiencing the divine, which is a part of your higher self, a part of your authenticity, a part of your original self, this wholeness, this incredible part of you. So that's actually good to know, to realize, oh, I'm simply not detached or detached enough to be able to get information. So if that's the case, which just assume it is, that you need to work on detaching emotionally from that topic. And one of the ways is, of course, to continue to practice in the areas, practice your intuition that you can naturally feel detachment with. That's excellent. But also don't stop working in the areas where you clearly feel confident that you cannot detach from, because it's a skill set. Everything's a skill set. Everything is already there for you. Nothing is missing, but there's a skill in detachment so you can hear, see, or feel, or somehow understand this elevated, more accurate assessment of your situation that could be extremely helpful. So just knowing that, oh, I'm not detached is very important. It's incredibly important. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just not detached. So that can give you confidence that the universe has not abandoned you, that you are indeed intuitive. In fact, that's intuitive for you to recognize which areas require detachment so that you can become neutral, so that you can hear the answers from the universe. The reasons why we can't hear them when we're not detached is because the answers, intuitive answers, are never what your mind will tell you. And when you're attached, your mind is throwing out answers all the time, or has these barometers or boundaries saying the answer can only fit in this box. It can't be outside of this box. And most of that's unconscious. Like, you're not aware. When you're not detached, you don't have an awareness of what limitations you're setting for yourself. But recognizing that you are detached is amazing. It's very freeing. It's highly critical for you to understand the areas where you're like, yeah, I never can get an answer on that because I'm emotionally invested and I won't let go of my emotional investment. So the next step is to let go of that emotional connection. You have to somehow be okay with the way things are. When you clearly want a completely different outcome, you want a completely different answer, you want a solution that's the opposite of what your life is offering you, and whatever topic it is, like, we know that's true, that's obvious, that's happening. But if you are, it has to happen this way. Where is it? Why hasn't that happened yet? How come I don't know what my life purpose is? Oh, why don't I have more money? When you're having that experience, the universe can't give you the solutions because you're not allowing the wiggle room. You're not allowing the freedom. You're saying it has to be here right now. It has to be kind of under these circumstances. And what if the answer isn't right now? What if it isn't under these circumstances? But getting the information could be incredibly freeing for you. It could allow you to rest and not be in panic or fear, which is also a sign of a lack of detachment. And so learning to be okay with what is really just means to embrace the present moment. You know, the present moment is always beautiful and gorgeous and very fulfilling and absolutely stunning. But you have to stop being in desperation for something else to be in your life in order to become present. And I'm sure there are many areas of your life that you are perfectly happy with, or moments at least that you're perfectly happy with. And if there's an area of your life, or more than one area, where you want intuitive information about, but you're not detached, you're going to have to work on detachment. So that means making a list of all the pros of how your life is great right now, even though you wish a section would change. But if you can get some positive, authentic feelings about it, that's going to put you in the present moment, because the present moment really is okay all the time. I mean, truly. And then you're going to start to detach as you start to value and appreciate where you are, not forcing yourself. It has to be an authentic expression into it. But as you begin to have those feelings, then you're going to start to detach, and then you're going to start to get intuitive information that's going to free you even more and get you excited and give you great solutions that you never, ever thought were possible. That's what's going to happen. So please learn to detach and be confident that if you're not getting answers, it's because you are too connected to an outcome that may not be possible. It doesn't mean that what you desire is not possible. It's just that how you've envisioned it, which you may be completely unconscious about, or how you think it's supposed to happen, it's not going to happen that way. And the universe doesn't have any wiggle room to bring the information to you, because you've said it has to happen like this. It needs to happen right now. And it better happen because this is terrible. You're saying that, and the universe is going, oh, well, it's not going to work that way. So could you please let go so that we can give you great insight into how things are going to be? I hope that's helpful. I truly, truly do. I'm going to go to the phone lines now and start answering questions.
Hi, Marie. My name is Katie. Thank you so much for all the service that you do. Back in December, I made a move financially with my traditional IRA, and it was based totally out of fear. And it has resulted in me losing a significant amount of money. And it wasn't just a bad bet, it was, um, I didn't inquire into all the basic things I should have inquired into, and I ended up really losing a lot of money. And I feel very, very foolish right now. Now, my situation is that I was a major in finance, and I went on to law school and I practiced for 10 years. I was only reasonably successful financially for those 10 years. I was totally unfulfilled by my chosen career. I met a man a few years ago who was on a very different career path, and who's a lovely, wonderful, understanding man. And we decided to get married and have kids.
Great.
And so the day I had my first child almost 3 years ago is the day I retired. So all this is to say is that what I did with my IRA has actually zero effect on my life
Yes.
in a practical way. My husband's very understanding and sympathetic about what I did. It doesn't actually matter
Right.
because he's very successful in his own
Right.
right, very generous.
Right.
But I feel a large amount of shame and humiliation as a result of what I did, and I'm trying to deal with that. Since having children, I've really gone very, very deep. So I just guess my question is how can I heal from this shame about and humiliation, which is I guess is totally ego based, about what I did with
Yes.
my IRA and what you see for me in the future. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks, Katie. And in the future, for everybody, please leave me the name of where you are. I love hearing where people are in the world. It makes me super happy. So, Katie, shame is a mind made emotion. It is not real. So, yes, it is ego driven. And whenever I've had a situation where I've made an error, if you will, and a choice that I've made, and I'm a professional intuitive and I can make mistakes, it can happen. I look at the backstory of how I felt moving up to making that decision, because there's going to be an intuitive feeling that I ignored, right? Because intuition is so soft. It can be so incredibly soft that sometimes we ignore the intuition. So I kind of replay the steps I made, the situations that occurred, because if I can get back to that original feeling of where I was intuitively led to a situation that I ignored, then I learned something incredibly valuable. So I think this is a beautiful learning lesson for you. And clearly, it has not affected your life at all. So great. Sometimes men want to be the breadwinner anyway. Um, but in other words, none of this matters. Wealth is meant to come and go. It's like the ocean. It comes into our life in a big wave, and sometimes it can come out in a big wave. But it's supposed to be this beautiful revolving door of resources coming in and sometimes floating out. But shame is mind made. So I think this is your opportunity before you do other things in the world to learn to not let your mind have any power over you and to take control of your mind, which is going to be, I think, part of the theme of this podcast today is to humans need to manage their brain, not just their checkbook, their bank account, their children, their employees, or, whatnot, their team. Uh, Humans really would benefit significantly if they learn to manage their mind. The mind can be very, very loud. And you're right, fear is never a reason to make a decision, ever, 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 ever. So ignore this shameful part. If you can learn to ignore it when your mind speaks to you that way, that's you managing your mind, because your mind is going into ego. And you don't even need the resources. I mean, sure, of course, you would love to have more resources, but you have plenty. Everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. So, an opportunity to manage your mind and control moving into lower vibrational frequencies that are not in your best interest, and noticing where the intuition was missed so that you can play that back and get comfortable with that feeling so that in the future you'll recognize the intuitive approach versus ignoring the intuition. Okay? Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, Mary. This is Laura from faraway Spain, and I've come across you because of the Alex Next Level Soul podcast that I really, really love. And I saw that you had a podcast too. So I went on to see it, and I see that you did one on intuition last week. So I do have a question on that. 2 years ago, we were going to buy a house with my husband. So I found a really, really nice house, really great. It was just perfect. And I really had this great feeling about it, the really gut feeling that this was the one, this was the house for the family. And it was going to be, great investment and so on. So we went to visit it. It was great, and we signed the papers. We put deposit, and we got financial credit for it. And we moved to this house. And a few months later, the private company that are going to give us the loan for the house closed, and they didn't give us the money for the house. So we had to leave the house, and the deposit we have put on for the house, we lost it too.
Yeah.
So it was very hard financially and emotionally, because we had invested time in the house and ideals, and we had all these things really in our mind. So the thing is that since this, I have a lot of trouble to trust my feelings and trust my intuition. And I also have a lot of trouble to take decisions, because I'm going to take this decision for the family because I think it's good, but at the same time, no, I'm going to get it wrong and it's going to be terrible for everyone. So that's a bit difficult. So I was wondering if my intuition is broken, or if I can fix myself, and that would be great. So if you have an input, it would be really, really nice, and I would love to hear from you. Many, 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 many thanks.
Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry, Lori, that happened. That is just no fun whatsoever. Your intuition was great about the house. It was the right home, perfect location. I love the light in the home. I love the room. It has really positive, gorgeous energy. What was missing was your intuition about your lending company. And what sometimes gets challenging about that is that there's certain things that kind of go into our brain that tell us, of course, this is safe. So certain things like mortgage companies, sometimes we used to think that mortgage companies, all of them were safe, that certain people, because they have certain descriptions or accomplishments, that they have to be good people. Well, that's not necessarily true. So your intuition about the house was accurate. Your intuition about the mortgage company was not, which could have been your husband's intuition, not even yours. I don't know the whole backstory behind it. And really, this company did such a terrible job, because if they were a really good company, they would have helped you transfer your loan to a different company. And that's really what should have happened. Your loan should have been transferred to a different company who would have, taken on the mortgage and allowed all the funds to go through for the house. So your intuition was excellent about the house. And when it comes to trusting, situations that, let's say, we have trusted for a very, 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 very long time, then we need to kind of ask harder questions. We have to be willing to accept that not everybody is honest. Not everything that historically has been legitimate is still legitimate. It's kind of like the Electoral College. Americans have been taught since elementary school the Electoral College is fair in the United States. Literally, we have been taught this, that it's fair. And clearly it's not. If a presidential candidate doesn't get to be president when 3 million Americans voted more for that candidate, but they didn't get the Electoral College, meaning that where someone lives is more important than how many votes somebody gets. I mean, that's insane. It's ridiculous. There's no logic to it. But because American peoples, many of them have woken up to this false situation that has only benefited the Republican Party, by the way, in all of its years of existence, because it's in our constitutions. Unfortunately, it's only benefited the Republicans. I guess if it had benefited both, parties, maybe we could consider it fair, but it's clearly not fair. Whoever wins the popular votes should be president. So that's the part I want you to start to challenge, even challenging your husband if he's the one who picked this mortgage company. I want you to challenge the status quo, which is really how everyone should be educated all the time. Not everything is always legitimate or correct, and not everything is legitimate and correct forever. So we as human beings, no matter where we live in the world, we have to pay attention to this fact. Here's another interesting fact that's not related, but I get a lot of questions. I answered one in my newsletter that will be released maybe in the next few weeks. I'm still working on it. And you can just sign up for the newsletter at energyintuitive.com about why Palestinians support Hamas. But what most people don't know or they forget is that 700,000 Palestinians had to be displaced in order for Israel to be created, which was done by the British government, by the way. So that can create a lot of problems. And on top of that, Arab countries do not teach about the Holocaust. So all of the Middle East, minus Israel and now the United Arab Emirates that started to teach about the Holocaust last year, 2023, they do not teach that it either exists. So there's a lot of Arab people who've never heard, or even Iranian people who have never heard that the Holocaust happened. It wasn't in their educational system, or that it's a lie. So I think when it comes to intuition, and I know that's a very drastic kind of drama explanation, but important to learn that governments choose to teach us certain things. Like people used to trust the mortgage industry in the United States. Well, after 2008, that changed. People don't necessarily, trust them as well. They'll do more investigating. They'll ask more questions. They'll shop around for their loans, things of that nature. So just know that if you've been taught that certain organizations or certain laws, certain constitutional beliefs, which are also laws, I guess, that are part of a country, doesn't mean that they are good. It doesn't mean that. So that's going to help with your intuition, because that's going to create neutrality. We're not neutral if we think certain things are right without questioning them. It's important for everybody to question things. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that we have to say that our countries are bad or something's wrong. I love the United States. I also love all of Europe. I haven't been all over the world yet, but I love European countries. I enjoy them. I relax when I'm overseas. So that's what I want you to do, because you are going to buy another house. Everything's going to work out. They should have given your money back. I know they went bankrupt, so they didn't have any money. That means they were lying when they gave you this loan, which is terrible. But just because something exists, it doesn't mean it's correct or that it's right. And so sometimes we have to ask the hard questions. And then as we evolve, we make different choices. Like in the US, so they're trying to wiggle the mortgage laws. They quickly shifted a lot of the mortgage laws about lending to people, how much income they should have. They're trying to wiggle out of it a little bit, but it's definitely better than it was in 2008, so that people don't lose their homes, where they invest a lot of time and energy and paint and money and love. Yeah. I hope that's helpful. Trust yourself. Please trust yourself. Okay.
Hi, Marie. I am Amy from Belgium, and I was wondering if you could read my energy because I am feeling very exhausted for a couple of years now. The fatigue is limiting me very much because I can hang laundry or fold laundry or cook or take a shower because it just exhausts me so much. And I always felt like it wasn't not a physical problem. It just expressed itself in a physical way. I always felt like maybe something is going on energetically or mentally. So I already started working on myself, setting boundaries, loving myself more, and getting out of my head because that is very necessary anyway. And it got better.
Wow.
I did not wake up already exhausted like it was usually the case. So it's getting better. And that kind of confirmed my feeling. And then I found your YouTube channel and your podcasts, and that confirmed it even more. So that's why I'm contacting you right now. To check if there's anything energetically going on or if there is anything that I can do or continue to do. I love to work on myself. So, and if you have any time, I was wondering if I have any multisensory abilities because I keep waking up in the middle of the night, hearing the doorbell that is not there. We don't have that kind of doorbell. Or I hear my name
Yeah.
or something falling in the house.
Yeah.
Or I lost my crystal at work, and then the next day I found it in a pile of laundry, folded laundry that was in the bathroom for a couple of weeks now, just in the
Crazy.
middle of some folded shirts.
Crazy.
So I was wondering what that was all about, and maybe, if you know what's going on there. Thank you very much, Marie, and have a very nice day.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so glad you're feeling better. By changing your thoughts, you're feeling better. It's so critically important for humanity to manage their mind, and humans, we have this weird discomfort with that because we don't want to control our brains. We don't want anyone to control us, which I agree with. But the brain actually doesn't know everything. It only knows logical things. So when we need intuitive solutions, we need to learn to manage our mind. And so if we practice manage our mind often, then those intuitive solutions can come through. I think your mitochondria have been down. I think you've been doing a lot of stuff that doesn't make you happy. I'm not even sure if you're happy if you're in a relationship. I'm not sure if you are happy in a relationship. And so I would look at that. You have a leak in your root chakra in the back of your third eye. So I would, if you have a friend or if you can purchase one of those near infrared and red light devices, I'm sure European nations have their own production of those. That feeds the mitochondria. Near infrared and red light feeds the ATP of the body and feeds the mitochondria, which when the mitochondria get tired, people get exhausted. But what I've noticed, of course, personally and professionally, is when I'm doing things that I don't like anymore, I get tired. I'm exhausted because I'm forcing myself to do something I don't like or I don't want to do. Or it's even if my mind knows nothing about that, my body, your body is talking to you and saying, don't do that anymore. Stop doing that. Why are you doing that? Go do something else. So that's my thought process. And hearing a doorbell, I hear doorbells a lot too in the middle of the night. And it's really the universe waking you up so you'll do some automatic writing. They want to talk to you. They want to communicate with you. You're ready for more information. And for some reason, you're not paying attention during the day. So they're catching you in the middle of the night. So try automatic writing. I think it will be wonderful for you. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Brenda. I'm calling from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for being available to take my call and for doing what you do. I'm currently working, just to give a quick background, as a hairstylist. And I've had my own salon for about 20 years and have been a hairstylist for 31 years. And what I'm noticing is I've been recently been discovering a whole new spiritual world and
Yeah.
consciousness that has been opening up to me. I find that I'm very drained by the energies of my clients and starting to become a little resentful of the very clients that have kept me in business all of these years. I don't know if I'm just more in tune to myself and just want to spend more time focusing on that. That being said, I was looking for a chakra reading so that I may see what I could be or should be working on within myself so I could feel better about my work situation. I'm trying to be open and loving it more and loving my way through it until I can figure out what my next step is. I just feel like it's not
It's
doing
not
it for me anymore.
hairdressing. No.
And I would just like a little bit of insight into that, if possible. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all that you are and for doing what you do. Thank you.
You're welcome, Brenda. It's my joy. So hairdressers, except for mine, the current one I have right now, but hairdressers notoriously are intuitive. I mean, they have their hands in the seventh chakra and the third eye all freaking day long. And a lot of people can confide into their hairdressers and ask them personal questions. And it's usually the opposite for me. It's usually I'm giving advice to my hairdressers. That's why I really love my current hairdresser because he's really not into the psychic world, so I just relax in the chair and we barely talk. It's amazing. So yeah, it's time for you to leave the world of hairdressing and to work in the world of intuition and psychic ability. I also think you need like a sabbatical. So if it's possible, since you own a salon, can you hire someone who manages your salon? Maybe you cut hair twice a week or keep a small number of clients that make you happy. I want you to take time figuring this out. What makes you happy? Not, oh, I have to see this many. Because since you own a salon, and I don't know how many chairs you have, or if you have other hairdressers, which I'm assuming you do, that lease from you or whatnot, I want you to look at how you can make this work for you financially, independently, and you don't have to be there. Maybe you just come every morning, have a cup of coffee, few little talks or something like that, and leave. I think that would be amazing because you do need some rest. You need to build your energy. You have a leak in your first chakra and your seventh. So this tells me that you have stayed way too long. I wish people would pay attention to their insight when it starts to chatter at them, however they're taking an insight, because maybe it's not auditory. But if they start to listen when it begins, when they allow themselves to experience right, it begins, and they don't have to wait till they're worn out, exhausted, disliking it. So the good thing is that you found something you really love, which is the intuitive world, and that's what you want to work in, as you should. You have a huge third eye, and you're taking tons of energy in through the back of your head, which means you're really taking in quite a bit of psychic knowledge. So I would spend time automatic writing. It's my go-to personally. It's what I use to answer my personal questions for myself. I don't use it for clients. I rarely use it for my children because I just have to spend a couple days getting neutral, and then I can read their situations typically very well. So if I detach, I have to detach, right? So start doing some automatic writing. And whenever I automatic write, I write at the top of the page, please express to me whatever's in my highest good about, and then I fill in the blank. And then I let go. I love nature, as I've expressed, so I usually sit outside or look out a window so I can continually detach and be distracted by other things that are going on. It's not best to just hyper focus on the question, desperately seeking out the answer. You want to let go. Letting go is the best thing that anyone can do about anything in their life, and certainly regarding intuition, because intuition is never going to be what we think, ever. So those are my thought processes on it. I hope that's helpful. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I am from Texas. I have a few questions, or I guess one, I don't know. I was wondering if you could see my chakras and let me know if there's any blockages or leakages that I'm having. I am experiencing some pain, like in the center of like my upper back. That kind
Mhm.
of goes out into my shoulder
Yeah.
blades, and my right shoulder. I don't know if there's something related to my chakras or emotions or something that I have trapped there. It kind of
Ooh.
sometimes feels like it's something's
Hmm.
like trapped and I just like kind of can't get it out. And then I am also 31,
Young.
going through menopause. Yay. I had some issues with my reproductive organs. They took everything out except for my right ovary. This
Yeah.
past December, I had surgery for endometriosis that came back, and I guess he had also removed a cyst that was on my right ovary during that time. And since then, I guess it decided to die on me
Oh.
or just stop working. So
For
now I'm
now.
going through menopause. So
For
I didn't
now.
know if there was anything that you would recommend
Yeah.
for me, or maybe something, I don't know, like with my chakras or something I can do or focus on and kind of add that to my routine that I do in the mornings when I get up. Any advice would be great. I actually do kind of have a question about my son, but I'll save that for another
Oh,
time.
okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And yes, you are young going through menopause. I'm sorry that one ovary's a little annoyed right now. It lost its friend and, your uterus. I'm assuming they removed your uterus with endometriosis. So endometriosis, along with anything that's going to be reproductive related, it's about joy, meaning you do not experience enough authentic joy for who you are. And it's critical. I'm still shocked that walking through the wetland park, which is like a 5 to 10 minute drive from my house, brings me joy. I've walked it over 100 times easily because I've lived in the area close to the wetland park for 30, more than that, like 40 years. So I've been to this park a lot. It still shocks me, but I walked it this morning with the dog, of course, Charles, who's asleep on the floor right next to me. And the highlight for me was listening to a bullfrog and that I could see it. And for some reason, bullfrogs, they're kind of like secret messengers for me. If I just stop and listen to them, whether I can see them or not, this morning I could. It was pretty early. Then this blue heron, my favorite bird, just starts skimming the top of the water right in front of me, going, fairly slow, didn't land on anything. I mean, I was just in absolute heaven. So you have to figure out what brings you authentic joy. It may not be bullfrogs or blue herons. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter what brings you joy. Just that you acknowledge what it is and you allow yourself to re-experience it over and over and over and over and over again. So I thought you were going into menopause, but as I was listening to your voice, I'm like, she's too young. But people in their 30s who even have all their organs can actually begin to move into menopause as well. So what you're experiencing is a little bit of frozen shoulder, I believe. It's really common when hormonal levels change when women are beginning to have menopausal symptoms. It's really common. And it's because they're not experiencing authentic joy. Authentic joy, which means certain things can bring us joy, but do you have personal joy that's not about anyone else? Like when I'm walking the wetland park, although Charles gets equal enjoyment, I'm really there for myself, looking at the pond and the birds and the frogs and the lily pads and the flowers. It's what brings me personal joy. So that's what I want you to think about. Personal joy is really not about other people. Like I love my children. I love my grandkids. We were all at the pool yesterday and the youngest grandkid, oh my gosh, she's a year and a half. She's like been in the water for a long time. And of course, we all have to hold her. It's a kiddie pool, so it's not very deep. She could stand up in parts of it, but she would just like throw herself in the water, so we had to make sure the beautiful creature did not drown. And so we were trying to get her out of the water because like she's shriveling up. Her feet are shriveling up, her fingers, and she would scream bloody murder, like absolutely bloody murder. So of course I love them and they bring me great joy. She was super fun, but it's not the same thing as what brings you joy as an individual. And that's what I want you to work on. Older soul types have a hard time because they love their friends, they love their work. Hopefully they love where they live. Hopefully, they love so much, but they forget about personal, joy, which really is not about other people. It's really not. I hope that's helpful. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Marie. I'm Marilyn, and I am from North Carolina, from Cary, North Carolina.
Oh,
My question for you is about some health issues that I'm having now, and also if there's any energy leaks, and I apologize if there might be three questions, energy leaks in my body, and also about my path. If
okay.
I am on the right path, if I should move from the work that I'm doing now and go more into the spiritual work.
Yes.
I, like a lot of your listeners, I have been seeing repetitive numbers for years. In the last year, it's gotten more and more frequent. It happens, a few times a day at least. All different numbers: 111, 555, all types of numbers in repetitious order. Um, Also, hearing and seeing things for friends and seeing energy. I see energy as well. So I was formerly a yoga teacher
Oh,
for
great.
about 7 years before I switched into this other area that I'm working in now, which is causing me a lot of stress, and I think causing my health problems. But so those are my questions for you. I just want to know about my path, my direction that I should be going in, and if I'm harming myself by doing the work that I'm doing now. I seems that way. And again, energy leaks or anything that you see, um, abilities that I should develop, um, just anything that you see in general for my life. I would love to hear. I love your show, and
Thank you.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much again in advance. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Marilyn. One of my daughters lives in Holly Springs, just moments away from Cary. So I've been to Cary, darling little town in North Carolina, a handful of times. Okay, so you have a major leak in the fourth layer of your auric field. And you don't extend your auric field out far. If you've listened to the podcast before, perhaps you remember my perception of the auric field. It needs to be 3 city blocks in every direction. And the aura is like an egg that surrounds us, like an eggshell. And it covers our whole being. It's the largest part of our energetic real estate. Yours is at about 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet. So you keep it kind of tight. I think the reason why you don't like your current job is because you work with a lot of people that don't have the same beliefs as you. I mean, I do my best, other than my hairstylist, to work with people who have the same beliefs as me, the same perceptions as I do, because it just makes it easier for me. And it's fun. And I like to work with like-minded people. We can have honest conversations. So it's not so much the work, it's the people that you're working with. And there's nothing wrong with them. I'm sure they're lovely, but they don't have the same belief systems that you have. The fourth layer of the auric field is about relationships. It's about relating. And this is what we're supposed to do every time we come in contact with someone. Hopefully each person is dancing their own unique, beautiful dance of who they are, right? And then they come together and they create a third dance of a mixture of their individual rhythm. And then when we walk away, we go back to our individual rhythms, if you will. So you're having problems with this, and that's why there's a massive leak in the fourth layer of your auric field. I think you need to be around like-minded people. I do think you need to do intuitive work. You're already doing it. So why don't you start figuring out what career would bring you great joy? And that's how you figure it out. Where is the joy? Like when I was reading your energy, seeing the fourth layer of your auric field leaking vast amounts of light brought me great happiness. Not that I wish any leak on anyone. I love the fact that I can see it, that I can feel it. It literally feels like there's maybe 20 blow dryers in that auric field, all facing out. The nozzles are facing out and they're, it's a lot of energy. So I don't think this is causing you harm like you think it is. I'm glad that you pay attention to your body and you make corrections quickly. That's what we're supposed to do. Use our intuition to notice when our body isn't super happy and make significant shifts. So let's say you have to stay in this job for whatever reason for a period of time. Make sure that all your off time or the majority of it is connected to like-minded people, reading books that actually turn you on and get you excited. Maybe start a manifesting group. I think that would be fun. I happen to belong to one and love it enormously. So you already know all the answers to this. You just have to take action and start following your guidance system, the joy. The guidance system is happiness. Happiness is the on and off switch. So being happy or not being happy is the on and off switch for one's insight and intuition. It's that simple. It's not complicated. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. This is Jason. I'm located in Pennsylvania. Thank you in advance. I have a lot going on. I'm very depressed. And I believe I've had issues my whole life, but it's all kind of catching up to me now. I don't know what my purpose here is on Earth. I feel like I've never really had a mission, and I'm kind of a waste of space. I am a husband. I am a father. I am a brother. I am an uncle. And I don't feel any of that. I was told my grandmother was psychic, my mother as well, and my mother tells me I am as well. I think I am, I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of energy leaks. I have a lot of dark thoughts. When I was younger, I could manifest only negative things. Like I always wanted to know what it felt like to break a bone. And a couple of days later, I broke my bone.
Right.
As an adult, and I was trying to get out of playing soccer for some reason. And doing something so simple, I hurt my ankle, and now I haven't been able to play for 2 seasons.
Right.
So I feel like I can do stuff like that, but it's just negative. Also, I've stopped dreaming. I don't know why. I am testing a lot of different depression medications. I've had very, very scary, dark thoughts that I've recently been communicating with a therapist about.
That's great.
I've come across your site and videos on YouTube, and I really thought you could help. Please let me know what I can do, if my guides have messages for me, what my mission is, what I can do to snap out of this. I'm trying to raise my vibrations.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jason. I'm so sorry for all the challenging thoughts that you've had for a while. I don't think, although I do think you're a good manifester, I don't think that the fractured, bone or the torn ankle were necessarily manifesting. I think they were precognitive. I think you had precognition of something that could happen. And then it happened, like something that was most likely going to happen, and it happened. That's what I think. I would prefer that you start to look at it that way, that you had precognition. You are very intuitive. You have a stunning front third eye and back eye. It's gorgeous. It is in your family line, like it is in mine as well. And many, many people have people who are psychic in their family line. I remember this one time I had a client, and she was on the table. I think it was her first session with me many moons ago, and I haven't seen her in a long time. When I used to see people in person. And as I had my hands on her, laying hands on her, I heard that from her grandmother, who was deceased, that I needed to go upstairs before the client left and find my favorite deck of tarot cards and give them to her. And I'm like, really? It's my favorite deck. I'm thinking that. And they go, yes, which I don't use tarot hardly at all. So it's not like it's this daily thing that I do. No, it's probably twice a year. Maybe I actually, use tarot cards myself. I'd love to see tarot readers, but it's probably just twice a year that I actually do it myself. So I gave her the tarot deck. It's really beautiful. It was embossed in gold. It's super pretty. And I told her, I go, your grandmother was psychic, and she wanted me to give you this deck of cards. And the client said, no, she's not. Nobody in my family is psychic. I go, you have to talk to somebody in the family to find out, because they're going to tell you. Sure enough, she goes home, asks her dad about his mother. And he said, after he kind of hemmed and hawed for a few moments, he said, yeah, she would read people's palms in the back kitchen. She would have people at the kitchen table regularly, and they would come to the house and she would read their palms. I know. So yes, you are very psychic. You are one of those people that has to learn how to manage their mind. You cannot allow your mind to just go walking off to some weird space. You have a really strong brain. So strong brain people have to be more conscientious of where their thoughts are. That's truly it. There could be something biochemically going on as well. I kept hearing 5-HTP, which is a natural mood elevator. It also affects the neurotransmitters in the gut, which then connect to the neurotransmitters in the brain. So diet could be part of it. Like I would go off wheat immediately and I would not go back on it, especially if you notice some changes. Some people have more psychological effects from allergens, and the wheat that we use in the US has been modified. It became a GMO in the 60s as a desire to have more food available for more people, but it was modified. That's why some people who have wheat or gluten intolerances can go to different countries that use a completely different seed and not have those side effects. So I think going off gluten would be huge for you, and I would do it immediately. I think it's great you're seeing a therapist and you're having this talk therapy. I think that's important to, allow this type of intimacy, to allow someone to share some of your thoughts. But managing your brain would be huge. Don't worry about not remembering your dreams. A lot of people don't remember their dreams. It's not that uncommon. I don't remember most of my dreams. It's not that uncommon. Could the medication be partially affecting that? Yes. So going off gluten, continue the talk therapy. I think that's a good idea. I know you're on antidepressants, but sometimes we need those initially if we're in an acute state. But I would also, and I don't remember where you live, Jason, I think you said Pennsylvania or something like that. I would also look for a naturopath, because naturopathic doctors can prescribe antidepressants. They can prescribe all the same medications that MDs can, except for chemotherapy and some scheduled drugs like painkillers. And so they can prescribe probably most antidepressants if needed, but they can also look at your blood work in a very deep endocrinological, what word I'm trying to say, and through your endocrine system very, very deeply, and look for things that could be off. But I would go off gluten immediately, and I would not go back on. I think it has been playing with you and your emotions for a very long time. That's what I think. I hope it's helpful.
Like many folks, the pandemic really shifted my world. I left a job that I loved. I was linked to that job. It was part of my identity. I helped build it to what it became, and I was incredibly proud of it. I felt valued there. I felt seen there. I felt heard. For the first time, I felt valued, and that my gifts and talents were an asset. And then it went away. My leader left. After her departure, I was shifted into a position which was part of the succession plan. I became the interim executive director while they searched for the next person. I did apply. I did not get it. The new leader came in, and it was different. She did not value my contribution as it had been before. She wasn't the leader for me. I lasted about 6 or so months before I resigned. So I spent the next 2 years working on building my own business. I studied Reiki, hypnosis, human design, and became a life coach. While doing that, I consulted with organizations in interim capacities for leaders and helped build different programs for them. I also, alongside that, did some human design readings and built up a side business with that as well. It has ebbed and flowed, and at this time it isn't so lucrative, so there's the stress of that. I also feel very much stuck, and I think it is all about my sense of worth. Mm-hmm. I have been working on self, but I feel like I am resistant to a full-on shift or change or mutation. It's like I can't surrender. I can't figure out how to do it. It feels like I'm like near a cliff that I cannot quite see, but I know it's there, and I'm frozen, scared to jump off of it. I sense my intuition and guides, but I cannot quite hear them yet. It all feels really close, and also far away. And I just don't know what to do to get to the next level and get out of this kind of dumpy state of ick. I would love any advice and or message or whatever you sense that could help nudge me in a direction. I just kind of feel deflated and stuck.
Hi, Erin. Don't know where you're from. That would be fun. So I don't feel your passion. And what can get you unstuck is, yes, self-worth is a big part of this, but it's self-love. You have to fall in love with yourself. And it does take some energy. I remember the first time I realized, because I've been reading spiritual books since I was like 12. Maybe a little younger, but definitely, teenage years. And of course, every book said, love yourself. And I thought, oh, of course I love myself. Of course I love myself. And it wasn't until after I had children. And so sometimes it's the love that we have for something else or someone else that we can compare and go, oh my gosh, do I love myself as much as I love that thing or that person or that pet or that island or that weather or whatever it is? And I remember I was probably in my 30s, late 20s, early 30s, and I was hugging one of the kids in the front yard. And I'd had a health issue that I was working on and it was slowly improving, but I had a lot of questions, internal questions about, wow, this thing was, in my life. It wasn't life-threatening or anything, but it took like a year for it to go away. And I'm hugging one of my kids and I'm just loving on them. I mean, I can remember the moment and how adorable I think all of them are and precious. I mean, I could stare at my kids all day long and not be bored, really, quite frankly. And it just dawned on me, how much do I love myself? And do I love myself even 10% as much as I love this precious creature I have my arms wrapped around? The answer was no, I did not. I didn't have the feeling. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the belief. I had the thought that I loved myself. But loving something is an emotional experience. So that's what you need to do your work on. That's so that you can discover your passion, your actual passion in all these lovely things that you've studied. I don't feel your passion, which could be there, but I don't feel it because I don't feel you loving yourself. That's your homework. I'm excited for you. I think it's great. And there's a really great book. It's called Love Yourself as If Your Life Depended on It. It's a really great book. I think you'll like it. All right. Last one, and then I have to go do other things. Everyone.
Hi, Marie. This is Linda from Chicago. My request is for any insights you might have as I move away from my current career to focus more on my intuitive work. Since about 2001, I have done readings for a small clientele as well as a few
Great.
corporate events.
Great.
I did this on the side of my career work. I read tarot and do some channeling readings, and I'm working on my mediumship skills. I am very clairaudient and clairsentient and would love to develop my vision skills more. I love my intuitive work, and it brings me such joy, which is another thing that I resonate with you on. For a long time, I have felt that joy is my superpower. It's where I feel the strongest and most whole and complete. And it's also where the miracles happen for me. So my request is for some insight from you as I focus on growing my intuitive work in business. And if you would scan my body for any insights, I would greatly appreciate it. I've recently had some rotator cuff pain on my right shoulder and am currently in physical therapy for it. So thanks again for this and for the wonderful work that you do. I really love it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you for all the amazing work you do as well. When anyone is clairaudient, they have all the clairs. So we know you're clairvoyant. You just might be trying to understand it logically because a lot of people are looking in their head, or some people naturally have visions, but they think everyone has visions like that. So they don't think that their clairvoyant gift is present. But it's actually the same answer for you that I had for Aaron. You have to fall in love with yourself. You know how much you love clients, you love the tarot. I'm sure you love a lot of other things. You love that connection to the multisensory world. But what about loving yourself? Every single time I go deeper into loving me, I get more successful. I get more opportunities. I've always had more clients than I could ever take care of, but now I even have more clients than I could ever take care of, right? So you have to love yourself. That's really what you need to do, is to fall madly and deeply in love with you. And you already have a connection to the universe. You could sit down and talk to them and see what the universe has to say to you about this topic. I think you already know, and you definitely know by listening to my voice. I'm so sorry for the rotator cuff. So, and you can heal this yourself, I believe, or have someone do some energy work on it. I think it'll heal. It's about burdens. So something in your life is burdening you. I don't know if it's because you want to create more resources. I don't know what the actual burden is. It could be the resources, but you have to let go of that and start feeling the opposite of the burden, that what you want is already here. That's how we manifest, by feeling what we want as if it's already here. And so then we have to investigate what that would feel like, because if we've never created something that we're working on manifesting, we have to investigate what it would feel like if it were here. And then that's the vibration we need to hold several times a day until it fully manifests. I hope that's helpful, and thank you for your work. And your clients are very lucky to have you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I wish you joyful blessings. I'll be back with another podcast on Thursday. Bye-bye.